Yeah, you know what? It's kind of weird. 2 weeks before he passed away, I was in a session. I was working with Roger Troutman and Roger and Zapp at the time, and so I would always help them fix their equipment. So the last thing I seen Eazy was when I picked up Roger from the airport, and Eazy had said, "Hey, I'm going to pay you to get him to the airport, and we're going to cut the song to Tony G at the studio." So Tony G, the famous DJ from K-Day Mixmasters.
Yeah.
Wherever you at in this world, listen up. Yo, I spit this for my family, the people, the earth. And we've been at this a long time now, digging the dirt. I mean, like putting in work. Forget the friction. We were brought here right now for a reason.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 33 of In a Good Way podcast. Today I have a very special guest, a good friend, Don Thomas, also known as Donald Thump, also known as Don Kingski, and sometimes people have mistaken him for Forrest Whitaker. You know, but that's just because we met doing the acting, right? But no, actually, Don, he's a legend. You know what I mean? He's been around the game for a long time. Most of you have probably sang his name without even knowing, right? You know, I think everyone remembers the famous line from Boys in the Hood, "Donald B's in the place to give me the pace." So, you know, I mean, I don't even know where to start. So first, I guess, before we get into that whole thing about how you ended up on that Eazy E song, let's talk about how you started with music. I mean, you've been doing music, I hate to say forever, but pretty much forever. So how did you get started?
Man, that's funny. I remember just being in band. I was in band with Flea of the Chili Peppers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Michael Bowsery. So I started young in like 8th grade. I was in band and stuff. So I started playing the drums and the saxophone, and then the other dude gave me the trombone, and so I ended up being with the trombone and stuff. So, and Flea played the trumpet.
Wow.
So I was doing that, and then I literally started to learn music, and I said, man, I got to do music. You know, this is the coolest stuff. And plus, growing up with, you know, black family, we had all music and records and stuff. So I was obviously listening to that. And then I remember I went down to this store, it's called White Front, and then some white lady to find out her name was Pamela Desbars. She was playing rock music that I'd never heard. So that was like the first time. It was a radio station called K-West. And I remember I listened to her, and she hit me to some rock records, and I was like, man. So I learned about Queen and all this rock shit by being around her. And I'm like, man, I was going to White Front, and White Front was like the first thrifty drugstore. It was the first store you could go buy a tire, a thimble, you could buy clothes, anything you want. It was like the first Kmart before it was a Kmart. It was called White Front, and it was in like not South Central LA, but it was almost near the jungle.
Yeah.
So, but literally I grew up over there, and so music became, and so getting back to the band thing, I got in band at John Burroughs High School. And then the teacher's name was Arthur Copper, and his friends were all in Earth, Wind and Fire.
Wow.
Because he used to help one of the trumpet dudes do something. So that's when I started learning music, and from there, after like 7th grade, I was in all the band all the time up to high school. So I got into it like that, and then once I started hearing music, I was like, man, I got to do this music. And hearing Funkadelic and Parliament and all the old stuff in Motown, I was like, man, how do you do that? How do you make that? So eventually I started going to learning how to play stuff, and so I ended up being with the trumpet, the trombone, and I played the flute a little bit, but I was better with the trombone because it was easier to play, the slide, and I got a French horn and shit. So I was a baritone, and I played all the horns because I had nothing else to do. And the sax, all the women liked the saxophone. I didn't know, but I should have stayed with that, but I didn't. So I got on the baritone, and I started doing that. And then I got in the drum corps too when I was drum corps. So I learned how to drum.
Wow. Being
in a marching band with that, and then we went to high school, and I just blew up with music. All of my friends were into music, so I started to learn the guitar, whatever we did. I'd be in my friend's little band and stuff, and then rapping came out, and that's when everybody was trying to be a rapper. So it was pretty comical. We didn't know how to rap, but we were trying, we could do like mother nursery rhymes and shit. So after that, you're like, man, and then when I heard Rapper's Delight, I lost my damn mind. That was it, dude. I was like, yo, I want to do that shit, So
were you in high school when that came out, when Rapper's Delight, or was it already
I was still like in junior high, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, junior high.
Wow.
And but yeah, when Rappers Delight, I was just now getting to be a young teen, and I'm like, damn. And then plus the parties, you know, I was collecting records too at the time, because you know that's what we had. Black people, we collected records, and we went bowling. Yeah, stuff like that, shit. So yeah, speaking of the bowling, dude, it's crazy, but I retired from bowling at 12 years old.
What?
It sounds crazy, man, because all I did is black people. My mom worked at the post office, and all the kids would always, to keep us out of the street, she would take us to the bowling alley. So literally we'd be bowling. So I bowled from 6 to 12.
Wow.
And my highest game was 289 when I was 12 years old. So I was so burnt out of, I discovered dirt bikes at like 12. So that's when I retired from bowling. I literally said, Mom, I'm not bowling anymore. It's 6 years, and me and my brother were champions, and we had trophies, and my brother was like in the men's league. He was only 14, but they put him in the men's league, and I was pretty good myself. So my father, what they would do, he would go bowling, and he would tell his friends to bet against his team, and his friends wouldn't show up, so he would get me and my brother to come and fill in for him, and they didn't know we bowled like crazy people.
Wow.
So he would bet these people, and then they would end up losing, because my brother would bowl a 212 and I'd have a 200, and they're looking at like, man, how are your kids bowling like this? And it was funny, and he would win money. So after a while they stopped letting us bowl with my father, because they knew these kids are, you know, they're gonna bowl better than you know. And so yeah, but after a certain part with dirt bikes, I just got so I retired from it. I stopped.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And then after that, I just got into music and dirt bikes.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then living in the hood, the jungle over there, like off of Crenshaw, and, you know, so, yeah, and then my parents grew up over in that general area, Crenshaw, Pico, and we were all over, man. Carson, Compton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just growing with, because all the people worked in the post office all had friends all over the city, you know, East Los, everywhere, Whittier. So we'd be around somebody's house, of friends of theirs from the post office, and that led to music, because I was starting to see different kinds of music, how people did, you know, how like if you were Latin, your party would be a Latin themed party, and I was like, man, this is cool, you know. I didn't know salsa and cumbia, I didn't know anything about that, so I learned as a kid growing up. So that's what music. Getting back to the band, like I had no choice. I was like, man, I love this music. I got to do this. And
so, did you ever do anything with Flea, or did you ever stay friends with him, or you guys?
Yeah, I kind of knew him because of Skate Master Tate.
Oh,
and Tate, and then when Lollapalooza happened, that's when I knew him more, because Lollapalooza was Perry Farrell, and my friend Tater's DJ'd the first two Lollapaloozas. So I was, so I was there, and when the Chili Peppers would play, and I knew him, and so we had a conversation he remembered me from band. And so we had a conversation with Flea. I think I sat down and ate lunch with him. We're backstage and stuff right before they went on and stuff, and he's like, man, Arthur Copper. So I mentioned Arthur Copper, and he said, yo, I remember you, and blah, blah, blah. And so I just kind of tried to keep in touch with him, and then I knew the other dudes in the Chili Peppers, Hillel and his brother Jamie, and I knew Jack Irons, who was ended up being Pearl Jam's drummer.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I knew all of them, and I was always in the battle of the bands. I'd be in some other little band trying to battle them, and the Chili Peppers, the one rapper dude was an actor, Anthony Kiedis.
Oh.
Yeah, so he came down, he joined the band.
He used to rap?
Yeah, well, he wasn't really a rapper. He was just trying to do rap, because it was like white boy rap, and at the time how it was kind of corny, but he was trying his best to be a rapper, but he couldn't really rap. So that's how he became a singer. Wow. Because after rapping so much, he became a singer, because he thought he could sing. So, and I'm not knocking him, Anthony Kiedis.
No, hey, he's done great for himself.
No, I know, but he did. But he was kind of rap. Yeah,
he
kind of knew that. And all the first thing they were doing, he was just kind of talking the lyrics, you know. And so that's how the Chili Peppers got on, because nobody was really doing no rap rock like that. You know, Run DMC wasn't really out yet, nothing like that. So, but he was just like, they were trying to rap, you know, and it was kind of comical. So they played some like rock and roll, but he was trying to rap and just talk over the lyrics. So that's how that whole thing came up.
Wow.
And so many groups came after that, trying to be exactly what he was doing, you know, because he wasn't really a rapper, but it came off like he was rapping, you know. Give it away, give it away, give it away.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
So it's pretty comical now.
Wow.
I think about it, the whole time rap was coming up, you know, 79, and the first rap record that I knew of, other than James Brown and like George Clinton in Parliament, was Fatback Band. It was called Tim's something, but it's a record. But it was the first rap that they did like on a record that Yeah, and so after that you hear people rhyming little like nursery rhymes. So that was the same thing, because James Brown was doing the same thing, and George Clinton was doing, because he was doing nursery rhymes.
Yeah.
So really the first rap is that, but then really rap goes back to 1941. By the group called the Jubilaires, and that's the first. If you're not hip to The Jubilaires 1941. It was like gospel rap. So these dudes were rapping. Yeah, you got to go. There's Jubilaires, and it's the song is called Hey Noah.
Hey Noah?
Yeah, it's dope. Yeah, you got to check it out. It's really cool. That's the first rap that I ever heard of. It's 1941. Wow. So they were rapping way back then, and he's just doing a rhyme, you know. And if you see the video, it's called Hey Noah, and you can look on YouTube, and you're gonna be blown away.
Yeah, well, because it's funny because I think everyone's giving credit to like someone else, maybe in the 70s or stuff like that. So now that you said that, it's gonna like boom, it's gonna change everything.
Yeah, it was gospel rap, and it's the dopest shit I ever heard. And then they sing. That was the first song I ever heard. They were singing, and then the dude comes in with a little rap. Wow. You're like, whoa, this is some gospel stuff in 1941. Wow. Yeah, it just blows you away when you hear this, and it's exciting, man. It stimulates you as a musician. You're like, man, I didn't know all this was happening.
Yeah,
you know, in 1941. So
I'm excited just hearing the story. I'm blown away. Damn, that's crazy. So how long after? Because the Red Hot Chili Peppers were around the 70s, right? Late 70s?
Yeah, no, I was 81. I graduated in 81.
Okay.
So the 80 and 79. When I went to high school, and they were in there, and then Slash went there too. Oh. Saul of Guns N' Roses. His name is Saul. I knew him as Saul.
Wow.
But Slash was there. He was like the last. I was my last year. He was the first year for him, whatever. But we hung out in the musicians' little corner where all the guitarists and all these other people. And my other friend, his name was Willie Canadu. He's called Nana King. He got famous doing that. He's like a Fela Kuti, the new Fela Kuti. And he was in a band with Slash.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with this girl named Marcel. So I remember them, Willie's band, and we all tried to do music, and I was trying to be around music, and you know. So after that, I just kind of got into music through skateboarding. So after that, through the skateboarding angle, I got more into music because of the skaters all listen to music. And when I was skateboarding, that's all we did. We listened to rock and funk and everything we could to go skate to, you know, to make it cool, you know. Yeah. So that's how I started getting really hardcore into music. And then that's when like punk was coming out in 79, 81, and I didn't know anything like Devo and Billy Idol or it was called Generation X. That was like the first punk thing that I knew of.
Oh wow!
And then Devo was kind of punkish when I first heard that, and then I heard some other real punk that was like kind of like low end stuff that nobody really knew about, you know, just local bands. But it was a turning point in time in the 80s in music because it all changed to new wave and everybody like, you know, had some pointy shoes and funny looking hair and shit. It was really cool. And I was on Fairfax High School in Melrose, so I was on Melrose when that whole thing happened. So, but I was still collecting records the whole time. I was buying vinyl records, and now I like rock, punk, funk, reggae, everything. I was like, man, I love me some country rockabilly shit, or everything. Yeah. So it was like, growing at Fairfax, it was universal. So everybody's musical taste became my musical taste, and you know, plus my mom, they were doing all R&B records. I heard, you know, Spinners and Temps and all of that R&B stuff. That was already natural, but then I started hearing rock and folk music and Jimi Hendrix, obviously.
Yeah, wow. No, and if you don't mind, maybe after I could give I could show a little bit of your record collection. Because how many records do you have?
I got about 6,000 vinyl records, and I got 4 big Akia 12s.
Wow.
And I got a lot of vinyl, man. Taters turned me onto the vinyl. He had about 10,000 records. Wow. So he was bigger, and then a lot of rappers bought records from him. So that's how I was a beat broker when I started messing with Tate, because rappers would find records that he would find and nobody else could find this record, and then they hear this loop and go, oh my God. So that's how I ended up back with Taters sampling stuff when they're like, yo, give me that record, and what's that? That's a dope loop. And then back then we didn't know, you know.
Yeah.
But as time got on, you know, people wanted to sample and that whole thing. But it was a good time, man.
Oh man, it sounds amazing. So let's like around when, while you were interacting with all that, when did you meet like Eazy E and Dre and all that?
No, Eazy, I remember him. I just remember Eazy, Eric, because he was selling drugs. I just remember people in Compton and in the hood selling drugs. But Eric, we just knew him as Eric. And I met him at the Rhodium. And the Rhodium was where we used to go buy their gold, their fake gold and chains and stuff. So the Rhodium was in like Redondo Beach, and all the hipsters used to go over there and buy gold to get, you know, fresh records too. So you find records you would never find anywhere else at the Rhodium. So I remember Eric being that one dude, and he was just selling drugs. He was a short kid, and people thought he was a little kid, but he was really older. But I thought he was like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
But he was just, and he had a jerry curl and a hat. It was just funny, man. It was just back in the end,
But so you met him there then? You didn't meet him in school?
I met him later on, but then I knew people that knew him. Like when I met Ice-T, Tracy or Ice-T with the road at the radio back when they were doing breakdancing. So when all that started coming up, none of them were really around. They were all in their basically hoods. Everybody was doing their thing, and you just go to hood parties. So you see them at a party where everybody's bumping Flashlight all night or some Parliament Funkadelic, and then you start seeing the gangster. It was like the gangster culture. So I knew that because I was on the streets, and around. So we go to some of these parties, you start to see people, these gangsters, and then plus lowriders. That whole thing with lowriders was all coming together. Like Latin dudes had lowriders and brothers had lowriders, and everybody's car we wanted to low and look fresh. So that's how I got into going to Compton a lot, because people were lowriding back then, and you meet a lot of people. And I know Eric was the first people I know that had a lowrider. This other dude named Freeway Red.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was from like the jungle, or he was from the Bloods or something, or the Brims or whatever. But I remember he was the first dude I ever seen with a lowrider, and he had this strikingly red hair. He was like, but he had like a Chevrolet Impala or something. It was just so fresh, man. It was like, yo, this is a new thing. And then everybody dressed in baggy clothes. Like, so back then, all that gangster culture, you had to have baggy clothes and know somebody with a lowrider. And then that's when the bikes started happening too. So people started lowriding their bikes, putting sparkly stuff on it and lowering the seat. So that's what I always knew. Lowriding was me, a bike or a car.
Yeah.
So
So what did Eazy E have back then?
You know what? Let me see. Wow, I think he might have had a Cutlass, dude. To be honest with you, Cutlass was real popular back then. I just know. And then I remember the big thing. I just remember when Ice-T got his little Porsche kit or whatever. He had like a Volkswagen or whatever it was, and he put a Porsche kit on it. So he was rolling around. Yeah, he was rolling around with a Porsche kit on it when he got a little money from that Breaking movie or whatever. We was like, oh yeah, he's famous now, and pretty soon then. After that, people in the hood started getting famous for rapping a little or whatever they were doing, and so that's what Eric was doing that. But he hadn't put out any music yet. He was just still, gang banging or drug dealing or whatever. So, which was kind of all right, because that's what you saw on the streets. That's what the activities we were doing.
It's crazy because even when I grew up in a different era, but even that, it was still normal. It was like you didn't look at people like.
Right.
Oh, he's a drug. It was just like.
No, I know that's normal because I'm in the hood. I couldn't tell. That could be my cousin or someone. My cousin's friend doing that. I'm not gonna tell them because I can't mess up the family life. And plus, then they would tell you, no, don't. That's not your business.
Exactly.
That's what I learned when you stay, out of people's business, and that's because my grandmother. Because my grandmother's name was Gladys, and she was like kind of a gangster. Like my grandmother's roughneck. She gambled and had these parties. She was a roughneck, kind of. She cussed like a sailor, and she'd have these weekend card parties, and they'd start from Friday night and last till Sunday. They'd play cards all night, and we would be the kids, be hanging out. We'd be somewhere, and then sometimes we end up at the roller skating rink from one of these parties. Like, oh, what are you gonna do tonight? We're gonna stay. They're gonna be playing all night, so come to the roller skating rink. So Skateland and all this stuff. So I ended up roller skating, and that's how the whole gangster music culture started coming, because we go to the roller rink to skate, and like meet girls and meet all your homies and see the fresh cars, whoever had fresh car and fresh gear. So it was all somewhat intertwined somehow.
And so how did you make it on that song then? Because I've been wondering, I haven't asked you that. I was waiting to ask you that on here. So how did you manage to so you knew, because Ice Cube was the one that supposedly wrote the lyrics for Boys in the Hood, right?
Yeah, but I think and also that was Donald B or whatever, Donald Bass, but then his brother's name, he has a brother named Donald. Eazy's brother's name is Donald too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a brother named Donald.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I just, for some reason, they were like, Donald B in the place, and I used to be Donald B, so when I heard that, man, I'm like, damn, these fools know. And I knew Eazy way back then too, so I knew him way a long time ago, so it was just a trip. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the other dude's name. It was some other dude that was around him too. I just can't remember what his name was. But he had hit me to that, and he's like, man, when you come to Compton anytime, you can hang with us and blah blah blah. We'll be at Skateland or whatever. Or meet us at the park or So after that, I just always had people all over the place.
So did you had already met him doing music, or you just
no, I hadn't done music. I was just knowing in the hood, some hood shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Plus he was selling, weed or crack or whatever it was. In the 80s or whatever it was, some 70s or whatever. So, and that's how I kind of knew him. But then, obviously I was on the other side of town, and so I wasn't living in Compton or nothing like that. But I went to Watts and Willowbrooks a lot because a lot of my mom's friends lived over there. So it'd always be, what street are we going to today? That kind of thing.
Oh,
and you meet, like, every little hood had their own little, like, gangsters or whatever, So it was some hood shit back in the day.
So you knew, like, Cube too, and...
Nah, I knew Cube was just rapping. And I didn't really know him, but I knew there were some dudes like on the Crenshaw district and like other side, South Central, that were rapping. And I just knew that because the people that I was around were trying to rap too. Everybody wanted to be a rapper. Yeah, so it was kind of, and everybody you went, oh man, my boy's nice. He'll show up and he'll rap you. He'll battle you or whatever. And back then we didn't know battling was battling. But we just go and you want to talk shit, because a lot of people used to go bag on people's mamas. You talk about people's mamas, and that's how the rapping that I knew started, because people used to try to rhyme or talking about your mom, and so pretty soon it was like, yo, then that's kind of fresh, dude. And then people, we started hearing people rhyme over beats, and we're like, oh man, this is gonna be cool. So it exploded from there, and then I just remember Eazy and them was trying to do something when Dre and them were gonna put out this record. They were trying to get this shit out and talk about their hood. And so that's how the Eazy thing. He had a little money, and apparently he just said, "Let me put these dudes on," because every time we'd go to the skating rink, it would be somebody there that was trying to do that. Like, is this dude an entertainer or something? What is he trying to do?
Yeah. That's crazy. So did you get signed? Because I know you ended up, being in the group Skate Master Tate and the Concrete Crew, right?
Yeah.
Skate Master Tate and the Concrete Crew, was that before Eazy E passed away, or had he already passed away?
No, he was still alive. That was that 89 and stuff when I messed around with Taters, because I was getting into skateboarding and stuff. But then back then everybody was trying to be a rapper in a way, so they thought rap or whatever records. So yeah, and I remember because that was 91 is like when Cypress Hill, my friends started like the Cypress Hill. That was Tater's little friends and stuff, and I knew Muggs and them by Taters. So I met all of them, and they were trying to put out a record, and then they ended up Taters put up the money for how I Could Just Kill a Man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Tater's first record with them was How I Could Just Kill a Man. I remember the
whole he funded that then?
Yeah, he funded that record.
So he put out Cypress Hill, or?
He was, because Muggs was coming to his house for the records and stuff, and so they all kind of, then also Son Doobie, Funk Dubious.
Yeah.
That's why I messed, and it was around K-Day at the same time, so I was messing around with K-Day, the radio station, the first rap radio station with Greg Mack. And so we were all trying to get to that level. And this is before Eazy and them got to that level where they could get on the radio. But yeah, it was a whole scene, it was different scenes and stuff. And somehow they crossed over. If you knew them through the skating, I got to know some other people who were DJing and stuff.
And then, so you were signed with the
I got signed with
right?
Island and 4th and Broadway and Island Records. So we got signed, and first Taters put out a record on Russet Records. He wrote for Thrasher magazine, the skateboard magazine, at the time. And so he was a skateboard like aficionado. Everybody skater knew Taters because he'd ride these longboards, like 44-inch longboards and stuff. So through that, he started collecting records, and so you starting to see everything was kind of gelling together: lowriders, records, music. But let's see.
And I seen you skateboarding in the music video too, huh? What was the?
Yeah, that was. So we were in the desert at that where they film all those commercials. It's in Riverside. It's like a dry lake bed.
What's the name of the video, the song?
It's called Skate Master Tate and the Concrete Crew, Justice to the Bass.
Justice to the Bass.
Yeah, and it was like if De La Soul did reggae, it would sound like that.
No, it's not. You're rapping in the whole song, so it's pretty much just you.
Yeah, I'll bust the poetry. I went. Control of the mind is what we seek to find, a freedom to move to boom with the bass on a groove. I can't hold it back. It's like a forward attack to open eyes and ears to knock so loud people hear. From the bass coming down from above, it's like the knowledge, the wisdom, peace, and most of all, love. Less life can be tough when you're ruthless and rough on regular party people who are trying to stay up. Now, the ruthless and rough, I was talking about Eazy E.
Oh,
it was kind of, at the time I was kind of poking fun because they was, at the time they came out, they was coming up with the gangster shit. I was like, you can do that, but like you got to kind of be above that shit, because that's not going to get you all over. It did get them over, but at the time, what I was doing, I had to kind of do it a little different. So I had to kind of, so that's what I was like jabbing Eazy in, because I knew him and shit. So I was, life can be tough when you're ruthless and rough on regular party people who were trying to stay up. So you can't gangster everybody. you know, because you don't know who else is a gangster and you don't know where they're from and what they got to offer. Yeah, unless you walked in their shoes, you know.
That's deep.
Yeah, it's some pretty comical shit, man. That's what I'm saying.
So that was around the same time then. So you got signed when?
Right before Cypress Hill, they got signed right after that, and then Joe the Butcher was Tater's friend, and that he signed him to that whatever that label he had.
Yeah, because he was, and Tate was really known in the skateboarding world.
Yeah,
right?
he was, but then he was a record collector too, so people knew records and about music knew Taters. So he was all of that. He was a skateboarder dude, and he got on a show called Nickelodeon TV, Skateboard TV.
Wow.
So eventually he had a show on Nickelodeon before it became a Cartoon Network. It was Skateboard TV, and so he hosted that, and that kind of led into me getting more into performing, trying to be with him, and then him trying to catch on to the rap thing. He was trying to be a producer or whatever the hell.
And did you stay in contact with him over the years?
Skate Master Tate?
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I did. And we, you know, and then he did his thing, and then I remember the second Beastie Boys album called Paul's Boutique was basically Skate Master Tate's record collection.
Oh, wow.
Because we were up there with the Dust Brothers, and they lived down the street from Ice-T.
Yeah.
Ice-T by then had a movie and bought a house in the hills, in Hollywood Hills on Olympia Drive or something like that. So the Dust Brothers, which producers for Delicious Vinyl Records or whatever, they produced that album, and they basically were taking all the records from Taters. And then they ended up on Paul's Boutique, Beastie Boys' second album, was all these samples and stuff.
Wow.
It was really dope records and stuff, but Tate was like a beat broker. He would sell them to whoever the highest bidder were.
Wow.
Bidder was.
Wow.
So it is. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I know, like, he passed away in 2015, right?
No, let me see, something like that. 1959 and 2015, yeah.
Were you keeping in contact with him up to then? Or
yeah, absolutely. He had been doing his thing, and we'd do shows every now and then. He would do something, and I would still do parties. He would DJ around the city, and I would still do stuff with him. And Willie, other guy, Willie's Big Burlesque is Willie, and then Joey Altruda from Tupelo Chain Sex. He got famous, and he's a big producer now. And so all of the people in that group, I was around all those people, and I learned more about, you know, music and how to present it and stuff.
Yeah, wow. No, that's all. Yeah, all that stuff matters, right? Like, you have to get your performance knowledge from someone, the music knowledge from someone, like all the things that make up what music is. So,
and it was a trip back then, because I remember all of the people that ended up being famous, you know, WC. I knew WC.
Oh, wow.
Through Mad Circle or whatever, but then they all knew Taters and Muggs. And all the different people were all trying to do stuff, and so I came across a lot of people.
Wow.
Yeah, seeing them, and then they all ended up being famous and getting record deals and shit. And
wow, that's great. So were you around Eazy E when he passed away, or?
Yeah, you know what's kind of weird. 2 weeks before he passed away, I was in a session. I was working with Roger Troutman and Roger and Zapp at the time, and so I would always help them fix their equipment.
Wow.
And I was working at a hologram company at the same time, so I gave them all that hologram stuff to sell on their paper, on their keyboards and stuff. And so the last thing I seen Eazy was when I picked up Roger from the airport, and Eazy had said, "Hey, I'm going to pay you to get him to the airport, and we're going to cut the song to Tony G at the studio." So Tony G, the famous DJ from K-Day Mixmasters.
Yeah.
He had a session. He was engineering the session with Eazy E and Roger. And Roger had never messed with Eazy. He'd already done the Tupac thing before that.
He did the Tupac thing before he worked with
Eazy? Because Eazy, when I think about it, Eazy E was, in fact, let me see when, I gotta remember the dates. Maybe I got my dates a little backwards and stuff. So, but I remember cutting this track with Eazy, because I was there, and he paid me money to pick Roger up from the airport and bring him to this thing. So I had all his gear with me, his keyboards and shit. So we brought it to his talk box and stuff. We brought it to the studio in Santa Monica, and I remember Eazy pulled up in this fresh BMW, a white BMW 850i or whatever, and it was a cool time. But then, some doggy dogs, right?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we could still hear. Should we shut the door open?
Yeah. So we'll continue the session with you told me we started what I was just finished.
Yeah, with Eazy, right?
Yeah. So the last session was with Tony G, at the studio, and Eazy was there. He was gonna get Roger to sing over the track. You know, he did it on the last. It was like the last cut. He was gonna finish on that record, Eazy E. It was a white record. I forgot the name of that album. The last album he did.
Who, Eazy?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. It wasn't the something about Compton. Straight out this.
It could have been that because the last track on it was the song with Roger.
Roger, okay,
Yeah. You remember that?
Wow.
Yeah, so that was real.
So that's the first time they had worked together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow,
Yeah, and I remember Eazy gave me a check, or he gave me some money after that. So, yeah, he did because I picked him up from the airport, Roger, and I brought him there, and that was the thing, and I had to get him back too. So to the airport, so he had to get back. So I think I did that, and then I remember Eazy said, "Send me an invoice." So I sent him an invoice, and he sent me a check. He got me a check.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And
he died 2 weeks after that.
Eazy?
Yeah, he did.
Wow. So did he already look sick or anything?
Nah, he didn't sleep. He didn't look sick, but I knew one thing about Eazy the time that I knew him. He never slept, man. That homeboy was always, and his exact words were, "Man, I don't want to miss anything." So he seemed like he was up all the time, not to miss anything. So he didn't miss any sessions and stuff. So he seemed like he was staying up all the time. So maybe he was just burnt out or whatever. But he did have a lot of different women, you know. Because even then he was with Tamika. I think he was married to her at the time, but he had a nice looking college girl with her that night at the studio. And that was the first time I seen him sleep, right? And so we're still in the studio, and here Eazy's laying on the couch, and this nice looking college girl's holding him. He's sleeping on her lap, and he's asleep. And I'm like, no way. I never seen the dude sleep.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And another thing, craziest thing, he had pentagrams on his fucking right here.
Oh wow!
He wore gloves.
I wasn't gonna bring that up, but
he wore gloves, and I'd never seen, but he had pentagrams, tats right here.
Wow!
Both sides. I swear to God.
No one gets mad at us talking about that or nothing.
Yeah,
but no,
he was.
crazy.
I saw him because he had the gloves off, and he had pentagram little tats right here.
Wow! Wow! I remember because I had gone.
They look like tats. I mean, I don't think they were pencil, but that looked like tats. Those were tats.
Yeah. No, because I went to his gravesite. I had this other channel on my YouTube, and that was like my most viewed video, like over 50,000 something views, going to see Eazy's grave, you know. And I remember he has the little pentagram skateboard, and you know, I laughed about it. I thought he just did it, you know. But well, it wasn't even him, because someone put that on his headstone, you know. So whoever, I guess, then now that you say that, so he probably really. I guess was about that life.
He wore them gloves all the time. He always had them damn little, like, you know, the little net golf gloves or whatever, cut to the fingers. Yeah, all the time.
Damn, well, hopefully.
That was the one time I didn't see him he was asleep, and literally he didn't have them on, but I was looking, oh fuck, he's got tats right here. Yeah. And it was just mind boggling. It wasn't nothing I couldn't, you know, I'm like, hey, that's Eazy, that's his world, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, and did you ever see, before he passed, did you see Bone Thugs around or anything? Or they weren't around?
No, not really. They were probably like working on whatever studio, because I know they were working out of probably someplace out of Santa Monica. This spot was like a little hidden spot that nobody really knew about. It was a 24 track though. Oh wow! But so he probably had them there. It was like probably one of his little secret spots to work on stuff. Yeah. Because I brought Roger there, and he was excited too because he was in 24 track and he was able to like lay all his tracks down and shit.
Oh, back then 24 tracks weren't common.
Well, no, it was, but it was like it was more 48. You know, the big studio, so it was a big budget price. So it wasn't like affordable for me and you like it is now, where you can kind of digitally do it. But now, back then, you know, sessions were, you know, you needed a 2-inch tape and everything and that kind of thing. So it was little, and you spent money. It wasn't cheap, you know. Things be $150 an hour, shit like that. And you know, he had money, so he could go and book it for 5 or 6 hours, 7 hours at a time. But yeah, we were there for a good 5.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were there during the session when they're recording everything?
Absolutely.
Wow. That's amazing. Man, that's like you know, that's history, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then 2 weeks later, he dies. I was so shocked, man. I was shocked.
Man,
but he didn't look sick or nothing. He was just like, you know, he was kind of burnt out. But, you know, that's what I'm seeing, he was sleeping. So I was like, wow, maybe he just don't never sleep.
So how do you feel about the whole conspiracies about someone injected him with the whole... I mean, because even Kid Frost, did you ever meet Kid Frost?
Yeah, absolutely. I knew him through Taters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, DJ Ralph. I knew Kid Frost through DJ. That was his DJ.
Yeah. Ralph the Mexican. Yeah. What do you call it?
But I heard him say that. I don't agree with that. I don't think he got injected. But he was a ladies' man. He had women all over the damn place. Even when he was married, he had like.
I think the conspiracy comes because none of his kids, none of his his baby mamas, none of them turned out with AIDS, right? So I think that's where the conspiracy.
Yeah.
But for you felt like it was possible.
Yeah, it's possible because I mean he was probably screwing. Who says he's using a condom all the time? You know, like he had like women was probably throwing themselves at him. You know, so you can imagine. And then not knowing for sure, but the one girl in me, her was she had like contracted HIV, and I don't know if that was from Eazy, but that.
But is that what you heard, or you know?
That's what I kind of heard. Okay, I didn't know. But
so we don't want to say because
for
case,
sure I can't.
Yeah.
But that was the one girl in.
Allegedly,
because the other rumor was Eazy was always 15 and he wasn't. He was older. And people, he tell people that he's only.
That's why he said it in the song, right?
Yeah.
Eazy, why you always lying about your age, man? Boy, you gene out to yourself. I had to say that to get my point across. That's
funny though.
Yeah,
no, seriously, because Eazy's old, man. He was like, he was older.
Yeah. What about? I know. With Tupac, did you take Roger over there too when they did the California Love, or?
No, I didn't do that. But I was at a session when, after that, about the same day or a few days after that, Roger was playing at the Strand in Redondo Beach.
Okay.
So I remember Roger and Lester. I used to work for Lester a lot, so I do stuff for Lester. So Lester called me out of clear blue. He goes, "Man, I need you to come out here and be out here." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Well, Suge just called me." I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah, he wants to come to the show tonight." And I'm like, "Really? Suge's gonna come to your show out in the Strand?" He goes, "Yeah." He said he's gonna bring Tupac with him. And I didn't know. Like, yeah, sure. He's just probably saying that shit.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, I go out to the Strand. I'm out there, and we're sitting in the back, and we're waiting. And Lester gets on the phone again to me. He says, "Man, the dude's coming through.
Oh wow.
So I just want you to be here because you kind of know some of these dudes." And I was like, "Well, I want to be, I knew some Bloods, that's what you mean. And, I know Bloods, but I don't think he's coming with Gang Strong. If anything, he's coming with Tupac only." So lo and behold, we're in the back of the Strand, and who rolls up in a Rolls Royce? It's Tupac and Suge. And Lester must have been freaking out. He goes, "Oh man, I don't want no problems." And nah, he just did a shit a show, I think. So it was funny. I remember my job was to get him in the back without letting anybody see him. Oh. So it was a back little stage door through the back of the Strand, and we squeezed fucking Suge Knight through this fucking small door to get him in the back, so nobody could see him. Because if they went outside, would have seen Suge, they would have known, Tupac. And Tupac had just got out of jail. They had just filmed that damn video. Whatever.
California Love?
Yeah. They had just.
So they had already done that with Roger.
Yeah.
So why were they nervous of them showing up?
No, because that was different. Little difference. Yeah, but then Lester is the brother, and he was nervous because he was the businessman, and he was so worried about bad rep, and he thought Suge was going to come with the gang of Bloods and stuff, and he was all afraid. Tupac, they were kind of wild, and oh man, if you don't know he's a dangerous person, and they were afraid of that. So that's why he had me out there, because I was like his roadie and stuff, but I knew everybody, and I could make a couple of calls and get some people to, Suge Knight, who? So what? But I was a Blood myself, so yeah. So it was just a crazy story. But we sneak him in the back, and we get him through this little stage door. Suge gets through here. So he's in the back, and Tupac comes in, and we're standing there, and we're like, "Oh shit!" And then Roger and them are playing and stuff. And so they're at the end of the show, and they're gonna play the song. They were about to play California. They start to go into it. So here, lo and behold, and I remember I had the mic here, and I turn and I look at Suge and I look at Tupac, and he's looking. The music starts playing, and then he just starts lighting up. He's like smiling. He's like, "Yeah,
Tupac?"
Yeah. And then all of a sudden he jumps out, and he comes from out the side thing, and people are tripping because here's Tupac standing there, and they're doing California Love. So he jumps into it.
Wow.
And it was a trip. So I was there to say Tupac did California Love with Roger and Zapp at the Strand. And then not only them, there was T-Boz was there that night. And, And Casey and JoJo. So they ended up all getting on stage and singing. Casey and JoJo sang over More Bounce or something. And then T-Boz was up there saying something or whatever. But that was a night to remember. T-Boz, Tupac, Suge. But it was funny getting Suge through the small little door.
Why is he? Because you're pretty tall too.
Yeah, I'm a big dude, but this dude, he was big.
Taller? Like you were?
Yeah, I'm taller. I'm 6'4", but he's big. He's a stocky dude. But there was a small little stage door. So that was the funniest shit. We got him through the door to the back, and that was just had to be. And I remember standing there, and I had to put my arms around him because all the people started rushing the stage, all the girls were rushing, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So I'm standing there just trying to keep the girls away from Tupac, but he's rapping the song, and everybody's like, this is Tupac, it's California Love. They were losing their minds, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, it was one of them. You had to be there.
Yeah. That's, man, I wish there was. Is there any footage? There has to be footage.
Nah. Well, I mean, the Strand used to record the stuff, but then they'd sell that to people. So yeah, they'd make you buy it. Like the producer of the show would have to get the money from. No, he'd spend money to get the footage from the Strand because they wouldn't let it go out. Go out to regular people.
Yeah. So this was what, 96? You want to?
Yeah, it was 95, 96, something like that. Because I remember
When did Roger pass away?
97 or something, and his brother shot him.
Not that same brother.
No, not Lester. There was the other brother, Larry. Damn. And Larry was he was like the road manager. He was in the group when they first started, but then Larry became the road manager. There were some issues because I remember a couple of band members telling me from Zapp and them their checks were bouncing. I'm like, wow.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, and so we were like surprised. I said, well, all the money's getting sent to Larry, the deposit, and then they pick up the rest of the money at the gig.
Yeah.
So there was some issues with. And then they got nervous, and Roger had to talk to his brother, man. He was like, man, we have to fire you or something because something's wrong, And so they had some issues. And this is a brothers, they 40, 50 years. So whatever discrepancies they had came to a head. So he ended up, I guess Roger was like, because Roger lived on the studio. He lived on the second floor of the studio.
Wow.
And he lived at the studio, and everybody else had houses, but Roger was always in the studio making music.
Yeah.
So he stayed there. But then I think what happened is that he told Larry I'm going to let you go as my manager. And Larry didn't know what to do with it. And this is his brother, So for 30 years they've been together in the group. So, and then that's whatever happened. He got so angry, and I guess he came back and shot him at the studio.
Wow.
And then this is what Zapp Troutman, the other bass, I think he told me this, that Larry was calling around to try to catch them all at the house. And he was thinking he was going to try to shoot them all and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, but they weren't there or something. But he knew Roger was in the studio, so that's where he went to confront Roger. And I think he was going to tell Roger, okay, we're going to be cool and whatever. But he shot him, and he drove up the street and shot himself, man.
Wow. That's crazy. And were you in contact with him up to that? Like you guys had
I was kind of, for the most part, because I talked to Larry a few times, because he'd always ask me about about Lester, and Lester would, hey, call Larry and he'll get you, like blah, blah, blah money, and if he's going to give you money, I'll give it to you or whatever, because Lester would pay me for anything I did for them, like to help their equipment and stuff, fix it, and they borrowed my equipment every now and then, and I'd get them their shit fixed. Every time they came to LA, they could get they know they can count on me to get their keyboards fixed or whatever. Yeah.
Damn, man.
But it was just sad, man. His brother, there was some brotherly issues there.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of the whole Selena incident where she confronted what was it, like she was in charge of the family, and then the same thing, right? Like, what a shame.
But his brother, because his brother was in the first, the first two albums, that was his brother playing percussions.
Wow.
Yeah, Larry. And I knew his sons, like Cleet and some of the other ones. I knew, being around them, I knew them all, and I kind of knew all the band members and stuff really good.
Man,
that was it was a crazy, crazy time, man.
Yeah, no, that's horrible. And man, you've seen so many like people pass on, I guess, just being around music for so long. I mean, how do you feel about that? Like you feel like they came to do what they were meant here to do, and then it is what
something like that. But then a lot of this stuff is preventable. Like Tupac was just like around the wrong people, man. Like I said. In my opinion, personal opinion, the Crips killed both him and Biggie. So, because he was around some Crips and stuff, and the Crips were like, we don't give a shit, and we'll catch up with you. This is the gangster, and then Tupac got too close to that shit.
Do you feel there's no conspiracy? Like that's pretty much.
Nah, I think the Crips kind of did them both in. I mean, literally. I mean, the Crips. Somebody, whatever that issue with at the Vibe party was. Whoever they said it did, the dude Muhammad or whatever in the car and stuff, but that dude was like a Crip fan, and then supposedly Suge had paid him to do something. So, who's the saying that Suge wasn't trying to take Biggie out after Tupac got shot? And those were Crips that ran up on Tupac, because Tupac shouldn't have been fucking around with some Crips, talking all that shit. And the Crips, they was like, yo, we don't, this is LA. They was in Vegas, but still, you don't do that and shit. Because people were bragging about that shit in Compton the next fucking day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the next fucking day.
Yeah. And I think that's where people, they forget that any street person doesn't care about your celebrity.
Absolutely,
brand.
dude. They'll run you back in your house.
Because even, someone told me that when I was growing up, like, they were like, because I was around that stuff. And so they were like, oh, like someone that was trying to make me not get involved, but they didn't realize I was already involved, And
absolutely.
they're like, well, it's because that's all someone from the street has. And I was like, exactly. I was like, 100%. If you don't have, you can't brag about, oh, I went to school to be a doctor, or hey, look, I'm going to law school. That's all you have. Like, I could beat you up. I could take your life. I could this and that. So
because it's leverage. I mean, that's what, like, in the streets with leverage. I mean, shit, if I mentioned somebody in the streets, they knew who I'm talking about. If I said, oh yeah, from the jungle, Inglewood family, they knew who the fuck I was talking about. There was no joke. I mean, I could make some calls and know people that knew somebody else, and a lot of these people were gangbangers and they were family members. So some people would be Transformers over here, Blood, Crips over here, and then next week they're in Carson with the Samoans. You know what I'm saying?
But no, that's how it is. I mean, people don't realize.
And shout out to the Booyah Tribe.
Oh yeah, dude,
Carson.
Was one of the Booyah Tribe? Was he in that Justice to the Base video?
Yeah, that was that was a Godfather.
Oh, okay.
And the other dude you see on the acting shows is Donnell.
Yeah.
You see him. He was on a lot of shows, so he was doing background stuff.
I ran into one of them in Last Ship, I think.
I was on that too.
Oh, you were there that day?
Yeah,
That's funny. See,
yeah.
I don't know we had met yet.
Yeah. For sure, I was on that Last Ship, and there was Donnell, and I got a chance to talk. I hadn't seen him in a while because, like, anybody, it was funny. About a Booyah Tribe, I would go anywhere with them, man. Everywhere they went, people got scared, dude. You saw these Samoans with long hair and braids and tats, and they scared everybody. Dude. I really mean that. I mean, I remember we was going to tour, and they was going to send us on the tour, and the Booyah was on Island Records too, so we didn't get to go because the war broke out, 1991 Gulf War. Yeah, so they kind of brought us back and said, oh yeah, you guys can't. I said, man, I'll go anywhere with the Booyah, because if we go with them, everybody's going to be afraid of these people,
That's crazy.
But yeah, shout out to the whole family. They was trying to do their best, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
A band, a whole bunch of brothers, and there was a band, And,
and I ran into him before at this. I forgot what it was. I don't know, it was a record label, but it was, like a studio, right? Yeah. But they had a little movie theater.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they bought a spot, and then last time I remember them, they were doing security for Jasmine Guy, and they lived next door to her in the Hollywood Hills or something. They bought a house or whatever, some of the money they had got into the spot because they were operating out of Hollywood. They were still doing security and other stuff.
Oh wow, yeah. No, it makes sense. I didn't know they were doing security, but that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You get 2-3 of them, ain't no problems.
No, and since we jumped into like Booyah Tribe and all that world, how was your time around? Like, did you ever do anything? Like we mentioned Ralph Fam, like them really good. So did you ever work around them, like Muggs and Ralph and Cypress?
Yeah, I used to hang out with them when DJ P used to live with DJ Paul Stewart. If you know him, that was Coolio's manager. Oh, okay. Yeah. So he used to live with Taters. They had a room. They had a house together. So that's when all the people I started meeting, people like Muggs and a lot of other people that were around there. All the people that ended up being in Cypress Hill's little, House of Pain. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That kind of Everlast. I knew him through some other people. And yeah.
So he was around at that time too. Everlast.
Yeah, he was Everlast. He was he was called Everlast then. Yeah, he had.
No, still after, right?
But he was. But he had a record. Yeah, he had a record, and then my friend Bilal Bashir was doing a beat for him, and that's how I met him. I knew him through some other people, and then Tate somehow ended up knowing him because of the record situation. They were like, "Yo, that dude with the records, what's his name? Tate, let's get the records." And so that's how I ended up mirroring Everlast.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, and they all ended up being on Cypress Hill after Muggs and stuff. And then once Muggs' record blew up, then the next thing was House of Pain, and then they did Funk Dubious. So it was all of them were all around there. And that's when Ralph M, I knew him through. I think I met Ralph M. While I was doing stuff for Belle Biv DeVoe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For the dancer, Brooke Payne was the choreographer. So I kind of knew that we were doing songs for their dancers. So we were going to do a rap song for Belle Biv DeVoe's dancers. They're called Straight Ahead. Wow. So that's how I met Ralph, because they needed a DJ, and Ralph came with this other guy, Kyle, and I was going to be the other little group or something, and somehow Ralph pops up the compartment, and I'm like, this is Ralph M. And I said,
wow. So you already knew who he was?
Yeah, I did, because of K-Day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's when I officially met him. But I knew him because of Frost, too. That's when I met Frost. Taters knew Frost, And Muggs knew Frost. They knew Frost because he was the other Latin rapper.
Yeah.
And then Tony G did that damn song. Mentarosa, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Raza. Yeah. Mentarosa was Mellow Man Ace. My bad.
Oh, okay.
That's Sin Dog's brother.
Yeah.
Sin Dog's brother is Mellow Man Ace of Cypress Hill.
Oh, they're brothers?
Yeah, that's his brother.
Oh, wow.
And if you didn't know, their sister is the one that's on the record with Mentarosa, the female voice. That's their sister.
Oh, the one talking?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's Mellow Man Ace's sister and Sin's sister.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're brothers.
Wow.
And they're from Cypress Park or whatever. That's where
Oh, that's where they got the name Cypress Hill?
Yeah. I just remember Cypress Park or whatever they call it, Cypress Hill.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever tour with them or anything? Or
I did a couple of shows. I did shows, I think, let's see, what did I do? I did something for them. Wow, it's probably some little small thing. It might have been the Palladium or something. I forgot what it was, but I did something with them. And I did stuff with Ralph M. And when he did the Funk Dubious, I was on the Golden B-Boys album. Oh. So I was their behind the scene musician or whatever.
Yeah.
So they did another record called Golden B-Boys and stuff. So at the time they were kind of doing their thing, and Cypress was still touring and stuff, and everybody was kind of going their own way. Everlasting them and blowing up with House of Pain and all that shit. That album blew up.
Yeah.
So they were touring to the point where they can tour by themselves. And then they did one tour where they got back together, all three groups.
Wow. Which
was like Lollapalooza kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. Dude, you got so
Yeah, I'm just the stuff with Perry Farrell, that alone, the Lollapalooza, that's how it came about. He was doing the concerts and Tate was his DJ. So he literally, the first two, he DJ'd those two Lollapaloozas. So I was at the first two. And between all the acts, Taters was spinning records.
Yeah. So we didn't talk too much about so you met Tupac just briefly, or you had a chance to be around him a few times?
Just that time, and then another time he was somewhere, and I didn't really bother him too much. It was somewhere, it was a studio or something. I don't know where it was. It might have been in the Valley or something. But he was at a studio, and I wanted to say it was American, which was Ray Parker Jr.'s studio in North Hollywood.
Wow.
And I remember Nate Dogg telling me that's where he was going to record at.
Oh, so you knew Nate Dogg too?
I knew Nate through, something like that. I knew him through my cousin, and I knew him through just being around. I'd see him around.
Oh, that's right. What did your cousin do exactly?
She worked at Warner Elektra Asylum Records, and she kind of put on T.I.'s first record, and Green Day, American Idiot. That was her record. She had the thing of D'Angelo. Yeah. And then the other record she had was Aaliyah and DMX.
Wow.
Whatever that from that movie. With the.
Is it Romeo Must Die?
That's it. Yeah, that was her project.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so she had I remember getting all the vinyls. So I was like, Raina, make sure you get the vinyls. She'd be getting all the vinyls from that record that she couldn't get. Yeah. That nobody else could get. So I got the little 12 inches and stuff from her.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, maybe I could show some of the blacks too.
Absolutely.
After,
Yeah, it's a picture of her and Nate Dogg and some other. Yeah, she was cool. I miss her, man. She was quite a character, my cousin. Wow. Yeah.
Did she pass recently or?
No, that was in 2009, 2008.
Oh wow, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, her and my sister is in the same business too. They were both in the record. My sister used to work for Queen Latifah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then the Boyz II Men, she was on Motown. She worked at Motown for a long time, and Boyz II Men was her project.
So she probably had some stories too.
Yeah, Janae, Hey GJ, keep playing that song. That was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was one of her projects she had to work.
Wow.
Yeah, so both
So your whole family was up in the.
Yeah, something like that. Just entertainment, being born and raised in Los Angeles and just being around entertainment. But yeah, somehow we all ended up being, my brother too's, he works at Deluxe called Encore /3D, which is a post place that you see on the bottom of the films when you see a movie. It'll say Deluxe. And they've been around since the 50s, 40s. Wow. So he works for a company like that. And he takes tapes around post production and moves tapes around. So he does. That's his job. He's been doing that for almost 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing. No, and so are you still working on music? I mean, I know you are, but
I do. I've been trying to get stuff done. I just been really dealing with my mom. My mom had got sick and passed away, but that took a long, that was a whole process. And then my father passed away a little bit before her. So yeah, it was just the last 4 years have been kind of tough, for our family. We've been kind of just dealing with my father passing away, and then my mom getting sick, and then she passed away, and so, but she left us in a good spot, so I'm in a good spot now. I'm actually back to doing stuff and doing music. Wow. And getting, I've been acting. Obviously, I've been doing shows and TV shows and all that. So I have commercials, and Yeah, in fact, I just got a check from Google, a Google commercial. Just today, I got a check. I was looking out for it, like, where's that Google check?
Yeah, no, and even the Cloud9. You were working on that for
for 5 seasons on and off. I was on a Superstore, and it's the best show I ever worked on. And I got to be an employee, and then they gave me 5 vouchers, union vouchers. So they wanted to make me union on there, but they still let me come back, and I got 2 Super Bowl commercials out of them, and like 5 seasons. So I was in the Pizza Hut whatever commercial, and it was cool. That was the best show I ever worked on. The best food, the coolest people, a whole bunch of comedians. It was just. I just laughed all day, man.
Was it still, because I worked on it a couple of times, was it still out of Universal Studios?
Yeah, they were working out of Universal, and they had the little store in the front and the back side. They had the other front of the store and stuff. But there was a real store at Universal.
It was like a whole big store.
They used to warn us because they had cameras in there. We had to put shit back. So every time we took something off the thing, the PA would like, make sure you put it back exactly where you put it.
Yeah.
Because it would be crazy to move some shit and it's not in the same spot with the same camera shot. So they were really sticking. They would send you back to holding if you didn't follow that rule. So when we picked up shit, we definitely put it back exactly where it was supposed to be. That was a cool trip.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, so right now you're still working on music, you're still doing the acting. You got any projects coming up that?
Yeah, I'm gonna work with you. We're gonna get some fat tracks out, Omar. I got some funk stuff, and we gotta get that vibe back.
For sure, man.
LA's forgot how we used to get down, and you see how it is now.
Yeah, right when I walked in, man, the track you were playing, I was like, I don't even want to say too much about it because
Yeah,
obviously when it comes out, people can hear it. But I was blown away right away. So I was like, oh man.
Yeah, we're on some next. We're gonna make that next level again. We just tried it all again,
Yeah, no.
I got more experience now, and I got a little more skills. And you got skills too, so let's blend them skills again, man.
Well, definitely. No, I mean, is there any because I know I can keep asking you stories about so many people, but is there anything else you want to talk about, or?
Yeah. Let's get back into the stuff that's going on right now. Like speaking about back on I ended up selling 3 songs to Rodney King of all people.
Oh man, how could I? My God, how could I forget it? Yeah, because we were talking about that because unfortunately, you were letting me know about the young man that just got.
Yeah, Tyree
he was killed, right?
Yeah,
he was actually killed.
Got beat down by 5 black cops in Memphis.
Wow.
And it's Rodney King kind of worse, but I mean, watching that tape.
So you already saw?
Yeah, it was on. They released it yesterday. They released the tape.
See, I haven't. Wow.
They've been doing it real slowly because they want to warn people. They try to warn people.
It's that bad, huh?
Yeah, it is that bad.
Man, I don't even want to watch it.
It's worse than Rodney King. This dude died after this. So it's no different than the cops or whatever, sheriffs or CHP, whoever doing whatever they did before. It's not changing. We're talking 20 years later. Yeah. It's the same stuff,
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, but so it's I ended up selling 3 songs to Rodney King.
Yeah.
And that because I met him through, I think I introduced him to Roger Troutman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so Roger let me use a sample of him playing the guitar, and I gave it to Rodney King. We put it on the record.
Oh wow! So he was rapping, or?
Yeah, no, Rodney King. He rapped a little at the top, but he had this guy's name Buzz and Papoose, and they were a group called Stranded. And so Papoose was going to be signed to Death Row, but he went another route.
Oh.
Yeah, but I did 3 songs with him, with him, Buzz and Pap.
Yeah.
And that was the cool thing. And Rodney King, we charged him like $500 a piece.
Oh wow!
We gave him 3 songs. The freshest songs are the 3 songs.
Yeah.
One's called Stranded, 1998. Other one's called Stay True, and the other one's called California Grinding.
Wow!
Which is like an underground little thing.
And it's kind of hard to find, right? Because it took me a while.
Yeah, it's Stranded was the name of the group, and the album was called Stranded. It was on Straight Altapaz Records, which was Rodney King and Antrice, his cousin. Wow. They did some of the money he got. He did a record label because he was on community service. Yeah, Rodney was a drinker.
Oh wow!
So yeah, he got arrested for drunk driving, and he got put on this community service. You go and pick up trash. So he met the 2 rappers, Buzz and Pat, on community service. He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do a rap label and blah blah blah. I need some rappers." And so somehow somebody contacted me through them because I was this guy named Chris I knew, but he introduced me to Rodney King, and he goes, "Oh yeah, these dudes got really fresh beats." And my friend Zachary, my other writing partner, Zachary Terrell. So we wrote some stuff and they liked it. They're like, "Wow, this is fresh." And so we were able to get 3 songs on that album.
Wow. Did it do okay or?
Yeah, they did all right. It was after the fact. It kind of grew as after the fact. People didn't jump on it right because it was some gangster shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was West Covina.
Oh, that's right. It was from one.
Yeah, West Covina, and he was from Pasadena, Altadena. So it was West Covina repping West Covina and Altadena.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, and I heard. I know one of the tracks I couldn't find, but one of them that I did hear, or two of them, I know they were good. I really liked them. But
yeah, the other one is California Grind. I'm gonna have to make sure I play that for you because that was dope.
I think that's the one I
that's the hook.
Yeah,
and everybody was like, "Oh, this is some gangster shit."
Ah.
Yeah, it was. It was like some Oakland gangster shit. The track that we did.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, real minimal, but it sounded like some Oakland. It definitely some Oakland kind of.
Yeah, man. And even Rodney King, like he already passed away too. Huh?
Yeah, he did, man. He was a. Yeah, I think he drowned or something in his pool. Yeah, swimming. He had a swimming pool. He had bought a house in Riverside or I forgot where he lived. He bought a house way out. Him and his cousin, they were living there, and he had a pool. And, yeah, but he was a drinker, man. And he
is that what?
Yeah, I'm not sure how he ended up in that pool, drying his pool or whatever.
Wow.
But yeah, he was a drinker, and he might have been taking pills or something. But I don't know, you know.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
But he was a cool dude. I mean, he was cool at the time when I met him, and we used to cut the tracks at Tony G's studio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I recorded there for a friend on his project at Tony G's.
Yeah, off the 605, way in that little corner. Yeah.
I don't think I knew all the history of all the stuff. Like once I was there at the studio, you see everything all around. Yeah. Like and I had heard the name Tony G. I just didn't know.
Yeah, because he was like a K-Day mix master. Him and Julio G.
Yeah.
Everybody thought Julio G and Tony G were brothers, but they're not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, that's your brother. And he's, oh, yeah, it's because of the brother or something. So, yeah, but
Tony
G's, he cut all the tracks. He cut that Rosa track.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was just dope.
Yeah.
And he did something for Kid Frost, too.
Oh. It was in La Raza or?
No, I mean, you know what? Tony G might have did La Raza. Let me think about that.
I mean, you know, it's sad because Kid Frost...
I want to say it did.
Because Kid Frost has so many songs, and that's pretty much what they remember him for.
Yeah,
and he was signed to Ruthless.
Yeah, I know. Later on, because then his son was just rhyming too. Kid Frost's son is like, that's the last time I seen him.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I know Mellow Man Ace's son was doing the same thing. So Kid Frost's son was doing some rhyming.
Wow.
And so was Mellow Man Ace's kid.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a small world, man, especially in Los Angeles, you know, in the music biz, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that even that story alone, that I'm sure, like, a lot of people don't know that Rodney King had a record label and all that.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad that we brought him up because of what, unfortunately,
yeah, I know. It's back to that situation.
Yeah. But that's crazy that he had a record label. I mean, at least he did something productive with the money, right?
Yeah, he did. That's what I'm saying. It was a good project, and I'm glad we did it. Yeah. Because we brought a couple of people in, and my friend Diane got to sing the hook. Yeah. And it was really his fresh hooks. And they're like, yo, this is really nice. So I think, to me, we had the best songs on there. The other songs it's a good album. I think people slept on it, but it was really like different gangster-like vibes coming from, you know, different areas, and they put it on his record. And at the top, Rodney's talking stuff at the top. He don't really rhyme, but he's just saying, you know, Rodney King, blah, 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 la, 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 la.
Yeah. No, that's crazy.
Yeah, but you can find it on discos.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Stranded.
Yeah, most definitely. And do you want people to be able to get a hold of you too, or I'll put a link to whatever, you know, they want to reach out.
I got stuff on. You know, the only thing I put on YouTube is all the stuff I do from a TV shows and stuff. I do that so I get my agent, you know, get another gig.
Yeah. But I mean, if you want, I'll link that or whatever IG you have or anything. So
yeah, I'm not really on IG. I wrote a song called Instagram Hoes. Because I was so against the Instagram hoes. You know, she's on her 37th pose. I say no, like Matumbo. Girl, I'm gonna have to go solo. I said something like that. I go dámelo, ¿qué pasó? Shh, silencio. Or something like that. It was some kooky thing that I wrote.
No, but it's all
good. But
yeah,
Instagram hoes, you know.
Yeah.
But I was dissing them in a fun way.
You released that song, or?
Nah, I was gonna put it out. I was gonna find. Yeah, my other friend was gonna rhyme it too, so he didn't want to do it. He goes, "Oh man, I don't want to. I'm on Instagram so much. I don't want to." So I said, "It's all good."
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I'm not. You know, Instagram to me is still Facebook. It's all Meta. It's all the same person.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
It's all
WhatsApp now. Everything.
Yeah. So it's like you don't know what is real anymore. You know, because Instagram, I saw a lot of people are hitting me up for scam, trying to get beats and stuff for nothing, and they wanted to like scam, and a lot of scams jumping off on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Well, no, man. Thank you so much. I mean, man, it's been an honor. I'm sure.
It's been an honor for me. You're the man. I'm the man next to the man.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for your time and you know, the stories, right? Because I mean, damn, how many people don't want to or wish they were a fly on the wall or something like that, and you weren't just a fly, you were a participant, you know what I mean? So
some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, so no, I'm sure, you know, we could do it again, you know, maybe bring up some other stories that we didn't get to discuss this time, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or once you know, either, you know, when the project comes out or stuff like that.
I'm excited, man, because that's a beat. You're gonna murder that beat.
Yeah. No, thank you, man. Thank you. I'm honored to jump on it. So yeah, on that note, well, thank you everybody for watching. Again, I'll link. And I'll put the link to so people can see you have the skills. You know, like I'll put a link to the Justice to the Bass track too. Yeah. So people could check it out and all that, the video.
Oh yeah, another record was called Joe's Jam. That's the acid jazz stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like if James Brown was hanging out at Venice Beach, it would sound like that. Yeah, it's called Joe's Jam. Skate Master Tate and the Concrete Crew.
Oh, hi. No, I'll link it. I'll put the link.
Yeah, they did a video. They took the footage from the old video and did another video. But it's dope. It's really, and I play the keyboards on that. I play a little keyboard part and a little piano part. It was live. We did like the second take. It was live.
Wow. No, that's amazing. Yeah. Okay. So on that note, we'll end it. I'll put the links and thank you once again. Peace.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Sometimes you just feeling it. You know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.